Is it just me, or does something magical happen when you see those words on the big screen? Yeah, it's something magical. Star Wars, The Last Jedi, is finally here. And here's my spoiler review. The movie's been out about a week now, so I wanted to kind of give it time to kind of digest and give everyone a chance to take a look at it and kind of formulate their own opinions before I jump in and offer up my unsolicited opinion on The Last Jedi. Now, I'm going to just jump right into it. This is a spoiler review. I won't reveal too much, but I'll drop some spoilers in here or there and just give my overall feelings and analysis about the film. Now, first of all, I think first and foremost, I'll just kick it off by saying that I was strangely disappointed with the film. Not from a standpoint that it was bad, because it was not a bad film. It's actually is very well made, and Ryan Johnson, the director, did an awesome job. The acting performances were great as well. I think Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker was absolutely brilliant, along with Oscar Isaac and as Poe Dameron, Kylo Ren, Adam Driver, and also Daisy Ridley as Rey. But still, the movie, like I said, the whole time I watched it, I was there. I just felt kind of uneasy because it just wasn't sitting well with me for some reason, and I also kind of fell asleep a little bit as well during the Canto Bite sequence. I got kind of drowsy. I didn't totally fall asleep, but my eyes kind of drooped a little bit, and I had to kind of pinch myself and wake myself up, which should never happen during a Star Wars film. Now, I will say this much: I actually slept through about 60% of Rogue One, and honestly, I've never seen Rogue One all the way through, and I've probably tried to watch it maybe 15 times. I always fall asleep on it, so I think that's a bad omen if I'm falling asleep during The Last Jedi, which of course is a highly anticipated film, especially following up with behind The Force Awakens, which of course was very divisive. A lot of folks, as you well know, thought that it was too much of a ripoff of A New Hope. I didn't feel like it was a ripoff. It did kind of mirror those images a little bit from A New Hope, but I didn't think it was a straight up ripoff. And it had enough originality to it to where it didn't bother me as much. Same thing with Last Jedi. Of course, everybody's going to compare it to The Empire Strikes Back, and rightly so, because The Empire Strikes Back is the second part of the first trilogy, and of course, Last Jedi second part of the third trilogy. So the comparisons are going to be there, and it does kind of mirror uh, Empire Strikes Back a little bit. As you well know, The Empire Strikes Back is very dark, and of course, the rebels are getting their butts kicked all over the galaxy. Same thing here for The Last Jedi. Um, the rebels or the resistance against the First Order. They took heavy losses, took massive losses, and basically the entire film, they're getting their asses handed to them. So, and of course, and you had Rey, who was on the island with Luke, and and as you well remember, Luke was on the island. He was on Dagobah, should I say, with Yoda, and of course, you had these intercut um, stories between the different characters in different parts of the galaxy and the things they're going through. And the thing that really stood out to me, as far as that was too much of a resemblance to Empire Strikes Back, was the Benicio del Toro character. I think they called him DJ, and um, how he betrayed Ray and Finn and Poe Dameron. It reminded me a whole lot of the Lando Calrissian um, angle or storyline as well from Empire Strikes Back. The only difference is, of course, DJ doesn't have a change of heart and come back to try to save the day like Lando did. But still, the double cross. I mean, I saw that double cross coming from like a mile away. I knew as soon as that arc started that he was going to double cross him, and I'm thinking the whole time, Lando, Lando, Lando. So that really kind of disappointed me. And of course, the Canto Bite sequence, everybody's saying that it's too boring, and it really kind of felt jammed in. And I agree. It did feel kind of jammed in. It really did nothing to move the story forward. Introduces the DJ character, and the DJ character could have been introduced 1,000 different ways if they wanted to really make him a part of the trilogy moving forward. But yeah, Canto Bite really was not necessary. I understand that They introduced the kid character who with the broom. I guess they call him Broom Kid. But once again, that character could have been introduced 1,000 different ways versus that Canto Bite sequence, and it really does drag the movie. And like I said, that's where I got kind of sleepy and kind of nodded off. And worse than that, I didn't care at all about Canto Bite, not at all. Another thing that kind of bothered me was the Rose character. Um, the actor did a fine job and everything, and she made Rose as likable as possible. But I felt it was too forced and too rushed what went down between her and Finn. At no time did I ever feel that there was some sort of a physical attraction between the two, especially not to the point where they're kind of falling in love or she's falling in love with him. I think they're trying to jam in a love triangle between Finn, Ray, and Rose, and it just felt really forced and heavy-handed. And their relationship, while friendly and it did seem, I guess, it was a nice touch, but it just felt kind of rushed and jammed in there and just not completely believable. Therefore, I really couldn't attach myself to these characters together. So when Finn goes to sacrifice himself at the end, she comes in and saves the day, and they have their big moment. It really did not resonate with me, especially the fact that they're in the middle of this battle. She saves Finn, or she stops him from committing suicide, and they have time to talk and kiss, and they got this big battle going on. It just didn't ring true to me, and it really kind of took me out of that sequence as well. So those are the things that really kind of disappointed me. But the number one thing that's disappointed me, that really made me uh, feel kind of sideways about the whole project or the film, is Luke Skywalker. And what I mean by that is, I thought Mark was great as Luke, and it was great seeing him on screen again. But since A New Hope, I saw the first Star Wars film back in 1977, November 1977, and of course Luke was my favorite character. Like many people, he really resonated with me, and I've always wanted to see Luke at the height of his powers be the badass Jedi that we all know that he became. We just don't see it, and I really felt disappointed that we didn't get a chance to see Luke be that badass Jedi. Of course, his sequence at the end where he does face off against Kylo Ren, it was nice to see, but it's still, especially the fact that it wasn't him, it was a ghost or a projection in the Force. Really, I felt kind of shortchanged by that because he never leaves the island, and we've never seen Luke be Luke at his full powers in any episode at all. Um, Episode 4, 5, 6, and here in episode 8, we just don't ever get a chance to see it, and that really disappointed me. Really, really disappointed me, because that's something I was really kind of itching for, just to see him for once just be this all-powerful Jedi that no one can really match themselves with. Of course, in Return of the Jedi, he was powerful, but still, he wasn't fully developed yet, because of course he had the big battle with Darth Vader, and he was still learning, he was still honing his skills, so to speak. So it really didn't ring true to me. Um, Luke now being this all-powerful Jedi and not getting a chance to see him, at least in a couple sequences, be this badass who just kind of wipes away the First Order. Who knows? We might see it in Episode 9, because once again, no big spoiler here, I guess. Everybody kind of knows by now. Luke does become a Force ghost, dies, or whatever. And it was a nice sequence, nice moment, and it was symbolic. It was a nice callback with him sitting there looking at the two suns. It was a nice callback to A New Hope. But once again, it was sad, but it just felt shortchanged. But overall, the movie, it was a good movie. So I'm talking about a lot of negatives, but the film, it was a good film, and it was very exciting moments. The opening sequence, opening battle was tremendous. I really like Poe Dameron. I like what he brings to it. He's this trilogy's Han Solo, and I anticipate that he and Rey are probably gonna hook up at some point. But he was a real badass, and I really liked what he brought to it. Every scene that he was in was great. Carrie Fisher was great. Terrible seeing her. in her last role, but she was great as Princess Leia, of course, and I felt satisfied with the way they treated her character. Um, Kylo Ren, once again, I think he's a great villain. I like the fact that they twisted it and had him kill off Snoke early on, because the Snoke character I felt was kind of forced as well. So I'm glad they got rid of him. It was a nice twist there, and the scene where he and Rey team up and fight together was awesome. That just was an awesome battle scene. So there's a lot of good in The Last Jedi, but once again, I feel kind of ambiguous about it. I'm going to see it again probably this weekend, and I might have some different thoughts at that time, but I want to have time to have it kind of gestate in my system and really kind of think it over before I jumped in and shared my thoughts and gave a brief review of the film. So overall, if I were to rank it, I wouldn't rank it in the top 3 or 4 of the Star Wars film. Of course, Empire Strikes Back is my number one, followed by A New Hope, followed by The Force Awakens, followed by Revenge of the Sith, and then I will put The Last Jedi in there. I really did not like Return of the Jedi, and the only reason why I didn't like Return of the Jedi is the Ewoks. They really take me out of the movie, really take me out. And the Porgs kind of did that for me as well, but I can never give the Return of the Jedi a pass because of the Ewoks. They just totally, whenever I watch Return of the Jedi, I always skip anything that got Ewoks in it. It was too childish for me, and it just didn't fit. And thankfully, the Porgs were a nice complement versus being a major player in the events of The Last Jedi. So I was kind of glad about that. I was kind of scared at first that they would play some sort of a part in it, but I'm glad that they were just kind of there for comic relief. And I like how they kind of played off Chewie a little bit too. So there's a lot of good in this film. Really satisfying film to watch. It was fun to watch. Dragged a little bit, but as a Star Wars fan, it gave me enough of the good stuff to where I'm not completely 100% disappointed with it. So I would definitely give it a positive review. On a scale, on a grade scale, I would say I give a C plus, a low B, high C, which is passable for me. But I am looking forward to seeing more of what Rian Johnson has in store for us, and also seeing what J.J. Abrams does with Episode 9. So there you have it. What do you think? Hit me up. Let me know what you're thinking about. At What Lonzo Thinks, Twitter, whatlonzothinks@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. I've been reading a lot of reviews and watching a lot of videos and everything. People are offering up their opinions, and I really try not to ride the bandwagon on everybody's opinion, but I think this time around it's really accurate. Everybody is kind of on the same page when it comes to it. So I'm looking forward to seeing your comments and your thoughts. Hit me up. Let me know what you think. The Last Jedi. I'm going to see it again. I might hit you with another review, more information. Who knows? But until then, this is what Lonzo thinks.